To Gerardo Gamarra, an activist with Alba Movements and the Frente, Patria, Grande, Argentina. Thanks so much for being with us, Jera.
Hello, everyone.
Let's start with the protests that we saw last month in which people were demanding the passing of an emergency food law. These protests were largely focused around the issue of poverty. What was that bill and why was it necessary?
Well, the emergency food is a resource that social movements were pushing because the poverty in here in Argentina since Macri's government uh, arrived has been increased a lot. Actually, this week it comes out the last index of poverty, and it reveals that 35% of population is under the poverty line, which it means 15 million people uh, that hasn't earned so much salaries to afford the minimum necessaries.
Can you tell us a little bit about what some of the issues are that people will be voting on come this October 27th for the general election? It sounds like poverty is one of the most important issues as it's a growing problem. What else are people looking for?
Yeah, poverty certainly is one of the most important issues that we have here, but we can mark a big process of mobilizations since 2017, when the pensions reform was implemented, and it was a very rejected measure from all the society here in Argentina, not also the social movements or the left wings sector. Since then to today, the government has taken many anti-popular measures, and until August, when the primary elections, the result was very bad to Macri's government, which means that the population reject the plan here in Argentina, which is an alliance between the government and the IMF. The IMF was released a lot of money, the biggest refund here in Argentina, but there is more rejections with that, because the return to the IMF is also a turning point for Argentina since 2001.
As you said, President Mauricio Macri performed quite poorly in these primary elections which just passed, which heavily favored Alberto Fernandez as candidate to win these elections. How do you feel social movements view the re-election campaign of Macri and his vice president?
Well, there is a lot of social movements and a big sector of the popular movements that made an alliance, and they are supporting the Alberto Fernandez candidacy because the whole of society is looking for an exit, for a way out of this neoliberal process. And the social movements are supporting Alberto Fernandez, but there also are with some alarms, because after the elections we have to afford a very tough process to pay the debt, to refund the alliance with the IMF, and to make something to the taxes decrease, because today the taxes are above 70%, and there is also a big external debt.
And do you see any similarities between the case of Argentina with Macri's IMF deal, which seems to be a very large issue there, with the protests that broke out this week here in Ecuador?
Well, I think that the most similar process is that alliance between governments of all the region, the neoliberal governments here in the region, with the IMF to set up a neoliberal process in the whole continent. I think that the process in Ecuador is reflecting the rejection of the society to that measures, to that anti-popular measures. And here in Argentina, we are seeing that rejection since 2 years ago. And now with the electoral process, we start to think that maybe it's a kind of come out of this process. But the main thing is clearly the society is not according with these policies of these governments.
It seems as if the leftist sectors of the country are going to support Alberto Fernandez and the vice presidential candidate, former President Cristina Fernandez de Kirchner, come this October 27th. What are people hoping is going to be the big change that they're going to make if elected?
This form with Alberto Fernandez and Cristina Fernandez, it reminds some of the best times in Argentina, which was since 2003, 2015. And of course, the alliance between Peronism and some sectors of the left-wing movements and popular movements are expecting that with Alberto Fernandez as a president, we can find out an exit of this neoliberal process and start a new process here in Argentina that could include the whole of the society, because the last 4 years most of the people was rejected, was unemployed, and was getting into much poverty than before. So it's a kind of hopefully process that we're gonna start here.
Thank you so much for your insight. We've been speaking to Gerardo Gamarra. He is an activist with Alba, Movimientos, and the Frente, Patria, Grande, Argentina. Thanks again. Hope to speak to you soon.
Goodbye and thank you.